The big vision is here. It's accessible, it's available to you. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to take a long time either. I think what was so powerful about this event was how big it felt in a really beautiful way, not big in an overwhelming way, but big in like, wow, we're doing this. It is so powerful what happens when you get in this material, when you say yes, when you believe and know and desire that your desires are green lights. It is just incredibly, incredibly transformational. Welcome to the Superhuman Selling podcast. Today, I get to share with you what actually happens when you get a room full of heart-centered entrepreneurs, sales professionals, coaches together in the same room for a weekend and the transformation that unfolds. And so I'm going to be taking you today behind the scenes of our live event, Superhuman Selling Live, which we just finished up hosting as I record today. And well, not today, it was about a week ago. But it was so, so powerful. I personally think that I changed and transformed so much just in the process of facilitating it. And so I can't wait to dive in with you. I'm a little more casual than I might normally be in a podcast episode today. We actually really did just as I record, finish hosting my 5-year-old, now 5-year-old's birthday party, which is so crazy. And we all got caught in the rain in his bounce house, and it was super fun. And I thought, you know what? I've still got this podcast to record. I'm going to show up. So if you're watching on video, hair is a little messy from the rain, and that's okay because as moms, leaders, partners, uh, dads, whoever you are watching this, you know that we get it done. We do what it takes to get it done, and we get to integrate our work and our personal life and make it all work together. And so, with that, this event was probably my favorite event that I've ever hosted. And I've hosted quite a few now in about 4.5, 5 years of this brand being alive and being what it is. And so I want to give you this, I want to give you a behind the scenes of what made the event so powerful, the whole event so powerful. And I want to also share with you some incredibly cool things that happened so that you can apply these same principles of how it came about to you. And so we saw in this event so many people saying yes to themselves, to their dream, to their vision. I also had the experience of manifesting a vision that I had 4 years ago at my very first event. So I'll tell you what that was today. There was also something really, really big that's been in the works for a while that got revealed and celebrated together at the event. And that was so much fun. And it was just incredibly powerful. I will say that. So I'm going to be sharing with you all of that as we go behind the scenes.
My favorite part of the event this time of Superhuman Selling Live has been hearing some of the stories. Being around all these great women and men is, I hear something new every time. Yesterday I had an epiphany about how I've been playing big in small spaces, and what I need to do is play big and be big in big spaces. And I had never realized that, and somehow being in the moment it opens your eyes.
At the end of the day, I think life is all about people, and the people that I've been surrounded by the last 2 days has been just absolutely phenomenal. They are all positive, growth-minded, empathetic, fun people.
One thing I'll say that was so fun, I'll kind of just get right into it. We had a number of very, very cool team members here at the event, and I'll share more about why that made it so special as we go here. But I cannot tell you how many people on my team came up to me and said throughout the event, I just had deja vu that I've been here before. So many people having deja vu at this event. It was a little bit wild. I had it happen a couple times too, where it was like we had all actually done this before. We had been here already. We had had this experience. And that has been really, I would say, like, especially this past year in the business and putting on this event, it has been such an experience of like feeling like my soul has already done this. My soul has already carved this path. And now we're all just getting to do this together in the physical 3D world. So that is part of how I think you know you're on purpose with what you're doing is you may be wildly uncomfortable with what you're doing because it stretches beyond what you have done in your physical 3D experience. And yet there's this part of you, this inner knowing that you're following. And that's what we've all been doing. And it was just so fun to hear that mirrored from multiple members of the team and some people who you might think they wouldn't, that wouldn't necessarily even be something they would say. And sure enough, they did. And so it was incredibly, incredibly powerful. I'll share a little bit about the why and what we did, what it was like, and then I'll share with you some of the biggest takeaways and ahas from the event itself. So, this event, if you missed it or if you don't follow me on social yet, by the way, I'm at Elyse Archer. Let's connect. I want to hear from you and get to know you. This is our annual live event, Superhuman Selling Live, where we bring together both our clients as well as those who may not be in our client community yet, but they, buy a ticket, come in, join us. And it was a 2-day event with a third day, which was a VIP day. So people paid more to be on the VIP day, or they were my private clients, mastermind members, et cetera. That was a more intimate day. The event was Thursday and Friday, and then we had a VIP day on Saturday. Um, the group and those who were in the room, one of the things that I think was so powerful about this particular group is every single person in there is unapologetically going for more. We had a lot of moms in business who are ready to call in like 7 figures, multi 7 figures, 8 figures and beyond. We had very, very cool entrepreneurs, very cool sales professionals as well. This one, because we hosted it here in Maine, we had a number of people local to the Maine community too, which has been really fun. And it's been such a beautiful process of building this brand and this business. Obviously, we're global, we're international, we work with clients everywhere. But since we've got a Maine headquarters, there's a really cool community here in Maine. By the way, if you haven't come and visited, you should come spend some time here. It's a great entrepreneur scene, a great vibe, et cetera. But the energy in this room was so, so powerful. I actually felt it like I physically felt it multiple times throughout the event. The energy of everyone coming together collectively for their greater good. I have been part of sales events, sometimes corporate sales events before where it's like people have to be there. The energy is very different. In this room, every single person wanted to be there, was there by design, had done what it takes to be in the room to get there, had gotten uncomfortable to be in the room. And I think that's part of where the transformation really happens is when you're like, you know what? I want to do this. It's uncomfortable. I'm going to stretch and make it happen, though. That's where the real transformation happens as well. And so I personally, it's been I'll share a little bit about leading events, about leading this event in particular, because it was so powerful. I have learned that in my business, what I love most is being in person with people. And I think giving yourself that option when you're thinking about your sales process, your business, what you're doing, how do you thrive the most? Do you love being in person with people? Do you have limiting beliefs about hosting an event and think that, oh, I could never do that, or who would come to my event? I want to challenge you to get out of your comfort zone. I just have this feeling and this knowing right now that someone or some people are listening who have been wanting to host their own live event. You can do it. You 100% can do it. And when you get excited about the content and what you're delivering at your live event, other people are going to be excited as well. And there is simply so much power of being in the room together with your people, etc. Part of what was really special about this event was having my team there in bigger ways than before. And so this was one of the things that I shared at the beginning that was like a 4-year vision that I manifested, which was so, so cool. So I remember my very first live event that I hosted was in Sedona in December of 2021. And this event in and of itself, it felt like a quantum leap. It was the first full year of my business being launched and visible. It had been behind the scenes for a long time, but the actual business launch, it was the first full year. I wanted to run an event at this beautiful resort called Enchantment in Sedona. And it felt like such a vision board moment to actually do it. And I remember thinking like, "Oh my gosh, are people gonna wanna come to my event, etcetera?" But I was also in such beautiful quantum leap, like, manifesting energy from my first year with the brand and all of the financial abundance that was flowing in and everything that was happening. And I was ascending and quantum leaping so much in my life that I really didn't worry about whether people were gonna come or not. I was really in the mode of following the energy, which I have learned to do. But here's what I wanna say about this. I remember sitting at the front of the room at that first event in Sedona, so unbelievably grateful to have the opportunity to lead it the way that I did, seeing these beautiful souls sitting there journaling, visioning, meditating, and looking throughout the room and feeling so grateful, and yet simultaneously having this pull in my heart. I felt a little bit lonely, I remember, of thinking, I would love to have my team here. Like, I would love to have a team here. At that time, my team was pretty lean and mean, pretty nimble and small, and it was, like, me and my VA, and I'm not sure who else. It was a pretty lean and mean team. But I just remember thinking, I wanna put on events with other people. I wanna put on events where my team is here supporting me, where we're all doing this together. And so at this particular event, we had more team here than we have ever had before. We also had quite a few of our consultants who came in and helped co-facilitate or were part of it. And it was such a beautiful embodied moment where at this particular event, not having to do everything myself. I've had wonderful event planners over the years, but at this particular event, having so much support from team, not really having to think about or manage a lot of the details. So massive shout out to my team because they're the ones who made this possible. But then also to be able to co-facilitate and deliver it with them was a really beautiful moment. And if you have been following the brand, following my story, have been kind of with us on this journey, then you know that about this time last year, I was at a crossroads where I was deciding, and am I going to keep things like they are, which is pretty much like me coaching, still kind of lean and mean, comfortable, seven-figure business, doing the thing, felt very easy, felt very natural. And I was like, I can go that path. I can keep doing the same. And yet simultaneously, there was this pull on my heart. There was this tug on my heart to expand and to create a brand and impact that would change millions of lives, to launch a consultant certification, to really, really grow. And I knew that that meant more people. I knew that that meant more team. And I got to work through some limiting beliefs about who I am as a leader and about what it's like to lead at that level and to really let other people in and let them be part of this in a much bigger way and let them support me, support our clients, elevate their lives. For me, it meant more visibility, leading them, like other people to report to be responsible for, right? I got to really work through a lot of limiting beliefs around that. And what I'll say, a little more than a year into that decision of saying, you know what? If I take one of my clients, his dad passed away several years ago, and right before he died, he told him, take fear out of it. And that's how you make the best decision for you. Take fear out of it. So I decided, I was like, I'm going to take fear out of it. If I take fear out of it, what choice am I making? I'm choosing to go big. I'm choosing to grow. I'm choosing to see what's possible when I follow the callings of my heart to build something that's as influential as, I think about some of my top influences like Bob Proctor, Wayne Dyer, Joe Dispenza. Like, I want to build something as influential as them in my own way. That requires people, that requires support, that requires better structure, that requires visibility, that requires leadership. And so I decided to do that because I knew that if I got to the end of my life and looked back, I would want to be able to say, I played full out. I went for it with everything I had. And so at this event, to get to co-facilitate with my team who was there, who had flown in from around the country, who we actually hosted at my home. We had several staying in the home with us, and then we had several staying in our RV right to the side of the home, which was so much fun. And I shared a picture on social of a couple of the guys in there drinking their San Pellegrino, living their best she sells superhuman selling life in the RV. But to get to host and have my team here and have that energy and have people in and out of the home all week and then have them at the event facilitating and being part of it was the manifestation of that dream, that vision, that desire back in Sedona about 4 years ago, where I said, "Gosh, I wish I could do this with other people. Wouldn't that be so much more fun?" And it happened, and so it was such a beautiful moment and a reminder at this event that you don't have to do it alone, that you get to call in incredible team support, whether your team looks like a personal team, whether your team looks like a business professional team, whether it's coaching support, again, whatever type of support it is, you need and deserve to be very well supported as you follow your vision, as you follow your passion, and it makes such a big difference. And in the room, I wanna take a moment and just define what it looked like to talk about superhuman energy, superhuman selling, because that was the focus of the event. And so when I talk about selling from superhuman energy, the way that I think about superhuman is we combine 3 different fields or modalities, and we pull it together into one. So we live at the intersection of sales, science, and spirituality. And so if you think about the 2 fields of science and spirituality, like if you're someone who follows Dr. Bruce Lipton, there you go, Dr. Bruce Lipton, or Joe Dispenza or Greg Braden, there's so many thought leaders right now who are living at the intersection and leading and teaching at the intersection of science and spirituality. And we layer the sales and business aspect on top of that. So that's part of why you'll hear me talking about quantum leaping so often in our episodes or in our content, because we teach about how to achieve really big goals in sales and business, but not from a place of how you've traditionally been taught you have to, not from a place of hustle, not from a place of grind, not from a place of burnout, of, as Joe Dispenza says, matter on matter, like I'm pushing, I'm forcing, I'm grinding. It's from a place of energy on matter. It's from a place of saying, okay, if I want to be an 8-figure CEO of my company, how does that 8-figure CEO think, lead, feel, operate? What is their identity? What is their energetic signature? How do they show up? Aligning with the energy, the vibration, the intention of that person, becoming that person, rewiring your brain, your mind, your thoughts to be of that person. And then from there, putting it into the quantum field using the power of your intention and draw it to you, and then simultaneously you are taking aligned actions. You are taking actions that that version of you would take, not necessarily the current version of you at your current place, but it's a very different energy. And so there's a feeling state to it of being grounded. You're grounded, but you're also visionary. It's like you've got one foot in your vision and then one foot in the physical world where you're kind of collapsing those 2 worlds and pulling them to you. There's an energy to it of being magnetic. And the other piece of it too is that you're making decisions from the end. You are going to the end result in your mind and you're saying, from this place, from this being done, what choice am I making? How am I investing in myself? How am I showing up? And if I went to my end scene and I knew that this was already done, what choice would I make in the 3D? That's how you start to choose. That's how you start to act. That's how you start to operate. And that is how we collapse space and time with our results, which is part of being superhuman. So I hope that makes sense. Also, my kids are running around my office right now. So I trust that the noise canceling is good. That they are hyped up on ice cream cake because that's what we just had for Jack's birthday. And I am just trusting that you can hear me okay and that it's all good. I know you can. I know it's all good. I'm just laughing because this is also mom CEO life slash dad CEO life, if that's what you're doing. And we make it work. And it's beautiful. So manifested the vision from 4 years ago in Sedona. I wanna speak a little bit to the energy that I've learned to be in that creates the most powerful results in my life, at events, etcetera, and take you behind the scenes of that a little bit here too. So, I used to think that to be successful, if I was planning an event, if I was planning a live launch or whatever, I had to, quote unquote, had to be stressed out, burnt out, burning a candle at both ends, had to have all of my notes prepared ahead of time, had to basically do what I had seen other people doing in modeling for a long time. And I thought if I wasn't doing it that way, then I wasn't going to be successful and that people weren't going to like it and it wasn't going to go well. And I have learned there is a totally different way to do this. There's a totally different way to do event prep. Um, and for me, and this is kind of how I run my business and my life now, and I've given myself permission to do this because it actually works really well. I am very in the moment. What am I doing? What am I creating? What am I calling? Now that could partially be my human design, but it's part of how I've learned to flow. And so leading up to this event, 2 days before we had a client VIP day, which I was preparing for, getting ready for, et cetera. And then I had a 1-day break after the VIP day to pretty much pull everything together for my parts of the event, to get everything set with the team and to finish the prep. Now, I've been prepping off and on for weeks and months, but more logistical prep. The prep for my segments, the prep for the parts I was leading, I have learned that I need to show up from a place of inspiration about it, not from a place of should or from a place of like, oh my gosh, I need to have these notes perfectly typed out 4 weeks ahead of time and then be practicing them. Which I again, that's what I thought I had to do to be successful, and I have learned that is just not me. And it's not about procrastinating, that's not the energy of it, but I have learned to trust myself that in the moment, I am gonna have what I need. I'm gonna be prepared. I'm going to be able to deliver the most powerful event by being connected energetically with the people who are there and learning for myself, and this may not be you, so always tune into what's true for you. For myself, I do best when I have a light structure to follow and when I give myself permission to say, you know what? If I am leading something on this day, then the day before is when a lot of inspiration is going to come. And I know that and I trust that and I carve out space to receive that. But in the past, I would have been in fear or worry or again putting pressure on myself of like, "Oh my gosh, I'm behind, I'm this, I'm that." And I've learned that that's actually not true. And I've learned to honor how I work and how I want to flow and lead. And so working in the moment and trusting in the moment and learning to tune into what is this moment about? These are, to me, these are some of the most important things and the most important ways and the best ways to get you out of fear, to get you out of shoulds, and instead to learn to trust yourself, your inner guidance, your inner knowing to say, I trust that in this moment, I'm going to tune into what is this moment about? And I'm going to be able to take the most powerful action from there. And then I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to tune into, okay, what is this next moment about? What's the most powerful action? What's got me most lit up right now? And when you do that, and you're making decisions from this place of really sacred authority in your body, and you're tuning into your energy centers, and you're tuning into even like your sacral energy center, your second energy center. And you're like, okay, what lights me up right now? What excites me? When you let that guide and you let that lead, that is going to help you move towards what you want most powerfully. That is going to open you up as a channel for divine inspiration, divine guidance, etc. Even recording this podcast, I knew that it was due to my producer by a certain time this evening. And it just did not work on Friday or yesterday. Today I'm recording on a Sunday. It didn't work Friday or Saturday to record it based on my schedule and based on everything that we were doing. So I was like, I trust that when it's time to record, that I'm going to have the perfect time. I'm going to make the perfect time. I'm going to know what I want to say. I'm going to know what is going to speak to people the most and what I want to share. And so I've learned to give myself permission to do that. And so I want to encourage you to just get out of the fear. I feel like there's probably people who are in fear or overwhelmed that, like, oh my gosh, running a live event would be so hard. I would have to be like, you know, I would have to be planning what I'm going to say and teach for months in advance. And not that that can't be of service or support to you, if that's how you're wired, but you don't necessarily have to do it that way. And you can be, if you're like me, being in the moment, present with what is very powerful. And I remember one of my team members, my integrator, she was staying in our house for about a week over the course of the event because she was also helping me co facilitate some of our VIP days. And she would ask me questions about the event and some things that I wanted a couple days leading up to it. And I was like, I don't know yet. My head's not there yet. I'll tell you when it's time. Now, there's nothing that she needed a decision on that was like we were running late on. It wasn't like that, but it was stuff that could wait a day or until the event. And so I have learned that I need to give myself permission to get my head in the space of where I'm going and to kind of process Today is about this. This moment is about this. Then tomorrow is about this. And I trust that when tomorrow comes, I'm going to have the inspiration I need for that. To give myself permission to do that. So I would say to her, like, I'm going to know by such and such date. I will know by such and such time. This is the timing for this right now. This is the timing for that. It has been a process over the course of years to learn how to do that and to get comfortable with doing that. Certainly wasn't overnight. I used to really I don't use the word struggle in my life now, but, like, I would say I used to struggle with that a fair amount and just trusting myself that I would know what I needed to know when I needed to know it. But if you practice that self-trust, if you practice tuning in, you'll get out of overwhelm and you'll learn that you can flow energy really powerfully in the present moment by being attuned to what is and by being attuned to what is exciting you and lighting you up in that moment as well. So I've given myself permission to work and to live in the moment. This is also part of the feminine. Feminine is about present moment versus having a 90-day, 6-month, 12-month plan. I have those at a high level for our company, but I'm not trying to execute or do things where it's not time for that yet, if that makes sense. Because there is so much going on, because there are 3 little kids here in the home, because the business is growing and accelerating in the way that it is in such a powerful way, because there's just a lot happening in day-to-day life. I give myself permission that I'm going to go moment to moment, day to day, and I'm going to be okay with that, and I'm gonna be present in what is, and know that I'm gonna be guided and have the right inspiration for that particular moment in time. So, if you're someone who's been struggling with overwhelm or feeling like you've got too much on your plate or like your brain is spinning a million miles an hour trying to do what you're doing, play with this. Play with this and see what happens when you say, I am a woman or a man who lives and plans and executes in the moment for my life. See what happens. Again, I'm not saying you don't plan. I'm not saying you don't, have a structure. That's not it. But to give yourself permission to flow energy in the moment towards what matters most right now. This is also how you tap into greater abundance, right? Abundance is I can do what I want when I want, all needs met in the moment, etc. You learn to do that with abundance, with money, with resources. You also get to do this with time. It's the same and it's really, really powerful. So I wasn't actually planning on speaking too much to that on today's podcast, but I feel like that was probably and hopefully important based on how much just came through about that. So that's how I've learned to operate and lead it. And it's day by day in the moment, trusting that I'm going to have what I need. And then, of course, carving out the space and time for that to flow through, but to trust that when it's time to show up and deliver, I'm going to show up and deliver. And I've built that belief system and I do because of that. Um, I want to share with this 3 highlights and breakthroughs that we had at the event. And these are some things from both, I would say, my standpoint as well as some clients who we had there. So one of the things that really stood out when facilitating the event was we had a woman who really wants to step up. She really wanted to step up in her network marketing company and become more visible, be available to attract team. And yet she'd been really hiding and saying, like, oh, I know I want to show up on social media. I know I want to lead. And I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm not showing up the way I want to. And so what we talked about with her, I actually had her, I saw a big shift in her this over this event. And so I want to share. I asked her, I was like, who is someone who really inspires you, who inspires the heck out of you, that has really helped transform your life? And she mentioned Mel Robbins. And I believe she and Mel may be in like a similar life stage. She was like, I am so inspired by how she shows up, by how she's doing this in the second half of her life, et cetera, et cetera. And so I said, all right, I want you to think about the impact that Mel has had on your life. And now I want you to think about if Mel had decided that she was afraid to be visible, or if she had decided before she became Mel Robbins, if she had decided that, oh, it's really uncomfortable to show up. It's really uncomfortable to put myself out there. No one wants to know what I have to say. No one cares about what I think. Like, how am I going to be any different from anyone else in personal development? Which, by the way, everyone who's a coach or a thought leader in personal development generally asks that question, like, because the general message is the same that people are giving. However, It's coming through your lens, which is the power, by the way. But with that, I said, if she had decided to hold back, if she had decided to play small, if she had decided to shrink, if she had decided to not be visible, then how would your life have been impacted? How would it be different right now? And she started thinking about all the ways that if Mel hadn't shown up, she wouldn't be where she is right now. And what I shared with her is there are people right now who literally are waiting for that from you. They are waiting for you to step up. They are waiting for you to show up. They are waiting for you to finally believe that you have something worthwhile to say. And she had a big shift in hearing that. And I saw something very different coming from her energetically the rest of the event. But what I want to say is that same thing applies to you. If any part of you is wanting to, again, run your own event, launch your company, step up and be more visible on social media, maybe you want to launch a podcast, write a book, but you're like, who am I to do it? Think of someone who you follow, who has transformed your life, who has been influential in your life. If they had not chosen to step up, if they had chosen to play small, to stay small, to not be visible, how would your life not be where it is right now? And you realize in that moment, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the people you serve who are waiting for you. They need to see what's possible mirrored through you, right? They're going to take it through the lens of themselves. It's not about you, it's about them. But they are waiting for you to be visible. They are waiting for you to step up. So, what if you just did? What if you just showed up today? And I saw her literally do that. And so, this applies for all of us, but you've got to be the one to say, you know what I have to say matters. What I have to offer is transformational. It helps people, it serves people, maybe it even changes their life. Then you've got to get out of your own way and get visible and do the thing. Because again, it is not about you. It is about your client. It's about the person on the other side. All right. There was this beautiful moment too. The second thing that I noticed within the group, within the event, was how people connected with sales as service embodiment. And so I led everyone through this really beautiful meditation and guided visualization where they saw themselves at their end state, receiving thank yous from their clients, celebrating with their loved ones, hosting a dinner party with their clients, writing an email to their clients, toasting and cheersing to their success. And so that was this moment where we really connected the energy of selling and money and prosperity and being in your full service with love, a moment where that connected. And so I watched people in the room like cry as they connected with this meditation. And by the way, that's how you know you've connected with truth is when you feel that viscerally in your body, even before it comes through, because we're always creating twice. And you have to remember that it's as real in your mind as it will be in your physical 3D world when it comes through. And part of how we draw it to us really quickly is through emotionalizing it and connecting with the feeling. So I saw people connect with the feeling state. It was incredibly beautiful, incredibly powerful. And the message that I was communicating there that I want to communicate to you too, and I did this with one of my private clients this past week as well when I was doing the intensive with him, was that money and love, money can be love, love can be money. The two are intertwined. The two are the same frequency, the same feeling, the same vibrational state. And so I don't mean this like we're going to replace God with money or we're going to love money and nothing else. But coming from a woman myself who used to have so much fear and guilt and self doubt when it came to money, and I would put so much heavy restrictive energy on it and a lot of like responsibility and weight and pressure and heaviness and judgment and guilt and fear of doing it wrong. And when you've got that energy attached to anything in your life, whether it's your relationships or your money, there's a lot of kinks in the hose, so to speak. So things are not going to flow the way that you would like them to. Things are going to feel stagnant. It's going to feel like money's hard to come by, clients are hard to close, etc. So what I've learned to do is to bring this energy of love into everything in my life, including my money and my business. And when I do that, when I flow and circulate money from a place of love, when I build my business from a place of love, when I connect with clients from a place of love, everything flows, everything shifts, everything's different. So if you think about it that way, like money and love are the same energy. They can be the same energy. If you're to bring the frequency of love into your money and your business, what would that look like? Because that's a big shift. That's a very, very big shift for you to make, and it's going to empower you a lot. I'll share the third thing I want to share is a moment of personal transformation for me here. Like I don't know if I'd say it was personal transformation as much as like, wow, that's really beautiful. So we had a number of people speak at this event, a number of our team, a number of our consultants. Now I want to share two moments. All right, I'm going to share two moments. One moment I had that I thought was so, so beautiful, that was so moving, was watching one of our consultants, Corey, stand at the very front of the room and share about her new nonprofit that she has launched. And to see this woman transform from a little over a year ago when she first joined our community and was part of a totally different company, totally different business, trying to make a health coaching business work that just wasn't super aligned with her. And to see in the course of this past year how she has released that because it no longer served, it wasn't where she actually wanted to go. She's become a certified consultant. She launched a nonprofit to honor her uncle who passed away this past December. She said yes to the nonprofit during a certain training for our consultants here in December, and then a week later he passed. And to see her come in and not really have public speaking experience and be standing at the front of the room speaking so powerfully, so eloquently, and also raising funds for her nonprofit and sharing about her nonprofit and how she has quantum leaped in this material was such a beautiful moment, and such a moment where I got to remember, oh my gosh, this work is so much bigger than all of us. It's so much bigger than all of us, and the more you can get out of your own way and be available to be a channel, be available to be of service, be available for God, source, universe to speak through you, to work through you in your chosen profession, in your industry, no matter what you're doing, you will, whew, you will quantum leap. That's how we do it. So watching her share and present her nonprofit was a real kind of almost out of body, like incredibly beautiful experience. The second moment that really stood out to me, hearing about a moment of transformation within our clients and our community was actually from one of my team members who is the husband of one of my other team members, but she started as a client. And she came into the community, man, maybe February of last year. No sales background or experience, was in a high pressure sales job where she basically had to close a deal to even keep her job. She hadn't closed any sales leading up to our discovery call. And to her credit, she got on our call and she invested in herself without even having a guaranteed sales job. And what I saw her do was go from, 3K months, 4K months to a 30K month very, very quickly. I saw her turn her annual income into her monthly income. And her husband has since become a really valuable part of our team, helping us with a lot of back end systems and integration. But he was talking about from his perspective, watching his wife invest in herself last year, him telling her behind the scenes before her discovery call with me, like, "Don't say yes on the call, give the spousal objection, it works every time." And of course, she's like, "Okay." And then she said yes on the call and signed up, and he was like, "What in the world did you do?" But hearing we had some good laughs about that in the room. But hearing him talk about the ripple effect of his life and how he is now living and breathing and embodying this material in a deeper way, how he is now going for $100 million net worth for them, how they have bought more rental properties in the past year than they ever thought possible, how they are expanding their portfolio, how they are living a remote lifestyle because that's what they wanted to do, where they literally travel and live in different parts of the country or the world all throughout the year, work from anywhere, make great money. It's just been so beautiful. And it was a very, very cool moment to hear from his perspective how seeing his wife invest in herself, seeing her get out of her own way and get uncomfortable, even though it made him uncomfortable at first, it transformed their marriage, it transformed their life. And so, if you are a partner of someone and you're listening to this, and that person wants to invest in themselves or they want to go for it in a big way, it is the best and highest thing you can do for them to be of supportive energy, to support their expansion, and to operate from a place of love over fear, to make decisions from a place of love over fear. And when we choose that way, when we show up that way, when we move in that way, then everything shifts. Everything shifts. And so it reminds me of, I said I was going to share one client story, then two client stories. I'm going to share three. um, it reminds me of, we had one of our community members speak at the front of the stage. And this particular woman is also a dear friend. And she went from, in her business, having had an $800 month to having a 17K month in, it was a 1 month period for her, the jump. And she talked about the how, and she talked about what she did. I don't even know what percentage jump that is, but it's huge. It's absolutely huge. To hear her say that, and to talk about how it was the energetic inner work, and how she said she was coming off of a challenging season in her life and her business, and she said, "You know what? I'm gonna commit 90 days to playing full out." And there's a theme that I've heard within our community, within our consultants, within our team, that when people are really winning, they have made a commitment and said, "I am playing full out. I am making every decision from the end. I am making every choice from the end scene of this being done. I am showing up like I've never shown up before, and I'm gonna do the energetic nervous system somatic work to recalibrate my belief system and be available for more abundance than ever before, be available for more visibility than ever before, be available to release any thoughts that tell me that what I want isn't going to happen or is too far off, and instead be available to receive." That is where the transformation comes. This particular client is now also concurrently manifesting a dream home for her family, and something that they've wanted for some time, but that she maybe would have thought was not accessible not too far ago. So it is so beautiful when you get in this energy, when you step into superhuman energy, superhuman selling energy, and you realize that you are so much bigger than your body, that you see and experience less than 1% of reality. This is based on science, that there's so much happening behind the scenes, that when you set an intention, you open up to receiving it. When you combine the energy of manifestation and calling in divine guidance and support with business, right? And with strategy. When you combine those two energies, that is when you quantum leap. That is when something really, really powerful happens. And that's what we get to do here, which is really, really fun. And so I'll share the final. I shared that there was one other moment that is something we've been working on behind the scenes that came to fruition that was incredibly powerful. This was another moment that felt to me like deja vu, and that felt like an out of body experience. And it was Thursday night. I got to take everyone to a mixer at our brand new office space on the water in Portland, Maine, in an office space that I saw in a vision years before we ever moved here, before I ever saw it in the physical world. I saw it in my mind. And sure enough, it's here and it exists. I knew we were going to be in it, and now we are. And so I signed the lease last week leading up to the event. We held a beautiful mixer on Thursday night where we also announced our brand new magazine that we're launching, as well as our media network and our podcast network that we're launching for other brands and voices who speak at the intersection of sales, science, spirituality, who talk about business plus energy, who align with our brand and what we teach and believe in. And as a side note, if that's something that you're interested in getting involved with, let me know. Whether it's getting involved in the magazine, which is highlighting women in business, or if you're interested in getting involved with the podcast network, which is everything I just shared, you can either DM me at Elyse Archer on any social media platform, or you can email me, Elyse@ElyseArcher.com, and let me know about your interest, and I'll be happy to connect and share more details and hear more about you as well. But so walking into that office space, seeing my team was already there, getting everything set up, that we had a mocktail hour, we had beautiful hors d'oeuvres, beautiful tables, seeing everything laid out was a very, very cool moment where I got to say, wow, the thing that was the big vision is here. It has happened, it has activated. And just like, so I would say this is my second like true quantum leap. My first quantum leap, it's the same, where I practiced being her long enough that the results just came in and happened. It was the same thing with this. I have practiced being eight-figure CEO Elise for so long. I have practiced embodying her. I have practiced making decisions as her. I've practiced all of this to where she just felt natural and normal at a certain point. That woman has an office. That woman leads an incredible team. That woman launches and runs a very powerful, cool, vibey magazine. That woman says, "Of course I can host a podcast network, not a big deal." And she does it. And so to be in the office space and to see it around me and to see the team in there and see the people in there, it was such a beautiful moment of gratitude, and I'm grateful to be able to experience it again, even as I talk about it here, where I said, wow, like the big vision has unfolded. And it's fun because from here we get to say, all right, what's next? Not from a place of dissatisfaction or lack of gratitude, but from a place of expansion, from a place of I know that my soul wants to do more than it's already done. So okay, cool. What's next? What does that look like? And so that was something that was a what we call, like, an end scene, which is from Neville Goddard, where you paint a picture in your mind of a scene with you in it that could only happen from the end result being manifested. So, that had been an end scene for a while, moving into that office space and seeing it in real life, seeing it happen in the 3D was so incredibly powerful and compelling and beautiful and a little bit crazy feeling at the same time. But I share that to say that the big vision is here. It's accessible, it's available to you. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to take a long time either. And so as I wrap here, I think what was so powerful about this event was how big it felt in a really beautiful way, not big in an overwhelming way, but big in like, wow, we're doing this. Here we go. I had a team member uh, quit her corporate job this past week to come on and work with me full time in this business. I've known that she was going to do it for a while, but she actually did it. That was really cool. Um, it is so powerful what happens when you get in this material, when you say yes, when you believe and know and desire that your desires are green lights. It is just incredibly, incredibly transformational. And so there's so much more I could say about this, but I think how I wanna wrap it is simply by saying to trust yourself. So, we talk on this podcast about trusting yourself and the power of that. But if anyone else can run a live event, you can too. If anyone else can make $1,000,000, you can too. If anyone else can have $1,000,000 month, week, day, you can too. If anyone else can have a beautiful office space on the water, you can too. And so when you start to think that way, when you start to operate that way, when you start to come from a place of desire over fear, expansion over constriction, it is incredible how the universe moves, how the clouds part, and how one day you find yourself leading out that entire vision that for so long felt out of reach or felt inaccessible. So thank you for listening to the show. I so appreciate you. I want to remind you that you can subscribe to this podcast. If you're not subscribed yet, you can subscribe. We're Superhuman Selling across all social media platforms. Please connect with me on social media. I'm at Elyse Archer everywhere. Would love to connect with you further about anything that resonated with you or the magazine or the media network and just get to know you a little bit better as a listener and as a member of our community. So, in closing, I want to thank you for listening to today's episode. Remember to trust yourself on your path to success. Your desires are green lights, leading you and everyone around you to a brighter future. I'll see you on our next episode.